Welcome back, my friends. Today we're going to be doing a couple of heat cycles on a couple new molds, as well as cleaning them from the factory oils they came with, and doing the same to a couple of molds I've already used a few times just to continue to break them in and smooth everything out. So we're actually starting here at the end of the journey with the heat cycling. This is after everything has been scrubbed clean with a dish detergent grease remover, and now we're heat cycling it to break it in as if you've cast with it for a few sessions already. This is going to help get those bullets to drop out. They're going to be wrinkle free because there won't be any oils left in there, so on and so forth. So you can see I've got 2 molds on the hot plate right now. We're going to go in 30-minute cycles. So I've got 2 on and 2 off. And, I'm on the workbench here, but you can kind of use cooking sheet or something as a heat sink. So as they're heating up over here, when we go to cool them, some of that heat might be drawn into this little pan here and sort of help them cool off. This process is useful if you have a new mold, if you buy a used mold, if you've got a mold you've used several times and it starts acting weird after you might have lubricated it or something. It never hurts to clean your equipment, and even the heat cycling can, it's probably never going to hurt it. A good mold is kind of like a good cast iron skillet or something. You've got to use it and work with it, and once it's nice and seasoned, it does exactly what you want. But as you get it from the store, it's still got greases and oils and things that you don't really want. So there's a process you have to go through before you want to actually use it to sort of help you when you want to use it. Anyways, this is the end of the journey, but over here I've already taken off the sprue plates, so those are just sitting in a little container so I don't lose them. But let's get downstairs to the sink, and I'm going to show you how we get all these cleaned out. So we are here at the sink, and we have our sprue plates removed, all the hardware and all that fun stuff taken off. And we're just going to fill up the sink here with some hot water and get some soap going. And I have a brush dedicated just for that. So don't use the one you do with your dishes and all that. Make sure to keep that stuff separate. But yeah, take off your sprue plates because we don't need to really wash those. Any oil on that will burn off pretty quickly. Or just use your brake cleaner or whatever like that to get anything off of those. So here we go. So we've got our water going here, waiting until it gets hot. And then we'll just plug it up so we can kind of rinse with it and get some suds going. But as that's going anyways, we can take our first part of our mold and get it all sudsed up. And we can turn that down a bit. And now we're just trying to get any oils from the factory, any grease that they left on there off, because this is obviously has been machined and they just drench it in oil during that process. So we're trying to get anything like that out of the cavities and out of these little venting holes. And we can repeat this process probably 3 or 5 times just to make sure we get anything out of there. And make sure to splash water across the backstop and the entire countertop while you're at it. But that's pretty much it. We'll do that for all of our different pieces. And I'll get back with you here in a second. Okay, so the 6 cavities are easy because those don't have handles and they break in half and you're basically only washing the mold itself. The 2 cavity, however, these are attached, so we got to make sure to, it's going to be impossible to avoid getting this stuff wet, but we have to make sure to properly lubricate all these other steel parts later on to avoid rust and everything else like that. So it's pretty much the same though as far as cleaning it out. Just you have both sides to do at once, and you have something to hold on to as well. So there we go. So we'll make sure all of our cavities are nice and clean. And there's really no way to tell until you start casting, but this will be a good start. And after we get all these done, we can do a couple heat treats on the hot plate, and that'll help break it in, and the bullets should be falling right out as soon as we start casting. So I've got 2 more to do. Let's get to it. Here we are, all washed up and ready to go onto the hot plate. I just got to get that heated up now, and that'll start to kind of break them in and give them a couple heat cycles to loosen them up and get them ready for casting, and they'll be good to go after a few cycles of that. Alrighty, so we're done washing everything off. You actually saw me using water on the metal parts. Oh no, no big deal. Once we get them heat cycled here a few times, any water that's left in the handles, that should all be taken care of. And after that, you have to make sure you're lubricating all this stuff again, because the mold might be aluminum, but there's lots of steel parts here on the handles, so on and so forth. So especially the sprue plates, you have to make sure to keep lubricated. That doesn't only help the function, but again, we don't want rust on our equipment, and this will help with its longevity and all that good stuff you want to do with your tools like normal. Once again, we're just doing 30-minute cycles. I've just got the silly hot plate here, 10 bucks from Amazon or Walmart or wherever your local store is. You can always find a cheap hot plate sitting around somewhere, maybe even a thrift store or something. Just like your toaster oven for powder coating, secondhand is going to be just as good as brand new as long as it works. So I've just got it cranked up to high. I have no idea what temperature that is. I've heard you want your mold to be around 400-ish degrees while you're casting and so on and so forth. And as you can see, the hot plate's not glowing red, but it is constantly heating up and going on and off like that. So it's maintaining a temperature, and it's better than nothing. So we do 30 minutes on and then 30 minutes off, and we can just rotate our 2 molds here and our 2 molds here. And again, I like to use the pan here to, protect your bench and also work as a heat sink. When you set your metal handles here on the metal tray, some of that heat will get transferred through that and help cool your mold a little bit quicker. You can see we've also just used the freaking table. If you set that down right there, it'll work, but that's not something you want to do 10,000 times. As far as putting the sprue plates back on these 2 cavities and this one here, we have to make sure to lubricate our screws and the sprue plates themselves, but avoid getting it into any of our cavities. You also have to add a little bit of lube here and here on these pins, as well as your handles and this screw here. But you want to avoid any oil in your cavities, but you're going to hit them here, and your sprue plate, you want a little bit of lubrication on that. And with the 6 cavity, since it's a little hot right now, I'm not going to actually pick it up, but you need a little lubricant here around these screws here and here. That'll help with your sprue plate moving in and out, as well as on the handle there. And when you have your 6 cavity handle, same thing here. You want to get the moving parts here a little bit lubricated, this screw and between the handles. Nothing too big. A Q-tip works really well for these small parts. And you can also get a little dripper with sort of a metal nozzle for precision application of your lubricants as well. As far as lubricants go, some people like to use just a beeswax or something similar to that. You can also use a 2-stroke oil or like a 30-to-1 mixture. Get it on a rag, wipe your sprue plate down, use a Q-tip, touch it up on these little pins and things you need a little more precise work for. Otherwise, you're good to go if you keep it out of your cavities. Well, it's been roughly 30 minutes or so it's time to switch these. I haven't actually started these 2 yet, so we can move them out of the way. Try not to bump that and drop it and then try to avoid burning yourself. Anyways, we should just be able to pick it up here and set it on our tray, and that'll work as a heat sink to cool it down. And same here. Kind of get that contacting with some of the tray there to help absorb some of that. Something like that. Anyways, we'll get these other 2 on here. Oh, don't touch that. I felt the heat on my knuckles, but I didn't touch it, so be careful. So I've got this nut resting on it and then the 2 pieces of the mold to help it balance. And we'll try to duplicate that over here with this one. There we go. And we'll just go for another 30 minutes, probably swap them a couple more times to give it a couple of cycles, and rinse and repeat. And that's about all there is to it. Just a couple more heat cycles to go and we'll be good to go here. Of course, I'll make sure to oil everything up before I put them away. As you can see, there's no moisture left here, and this one's actually starting to oxidize on this bolt going through there. So got to make sure to lubricate them before you put them up for storage. So we'll make sure to take care of that. But that's going to be all for today, folks. If you enjoy this sort of content, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can also check me out over on patreon.com/dummyround. Check me out over on Instagram. And I have a Rumble as well. Thanks for watching, guys. We will see you in the next video. Have a good one.